Yeah.
But having Super Dave at the harbor helping everything was really good.
That's great.
Okay.
Well, welcome everybody to another Reef Talk. And if you don't, I see a lot of familiar faces, but just in case you didn't know, my name is Hawaiʻi and I'm with Milisen Foundation. We offer these monthly Reef Talks to the community of Big Island. Kona mostly shows up, but anyone's welcome to join. They are donation-based, and it's a great place to gather with like-minded people and learn about what's going on. On the coasts of Big Island and West Hawaii. Milisen Foundation is an organization that's been around for a long time, established in 1991 to enhance the marine and nearshore coastal protection. We are all like-minded people, so we know most of this, but one of the things we focus on with Milisen Foundation are the day-use moorings. If you're divers, you're very familiar with those moorings out there. It's the easiest way to protect the coral. They have proven over and over again throughout the years to be sustainable and an amazing resource. And first installed 1990, we now have over 200 moorings statewide. And you might see other moorings out there, but the day-use mooring program is very specific. Ridge Street Education Program, I work with that program as well, and we work with local Kona and Kohala middle schools and take these kids and teach them about place-based stewardship. So get their hands dirty, take them out into nature, and remind them why we live in Hawaii and we're so fortunate to live here, and to give back to the land. And then these Reef Talks that are offered every month. If you're not on the mailing list, please sign up, and if you are, I already have next month's Reef Talk, which is going to be the Hawaii Island Hawksbill Project on August 28th. So hopefully I'll see you in a month. But tonight we have a special guest. Oh, and then of course, if you wanted to donate or follow along, we can use the support more than ever for these monthly talks. Tonight we have Sarah Milisen, the Hawaii Island chapter leader with Ocean Defenders Alliance. So maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, but this is happening here on this island. And Sarah's going to teach us about what they do and possibly how you can help. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
I am less used to lecturing and more used to class stuff. So if you guys have questions while I'm going through the presentation, please raise your hand, yell out the questions. For the YouTube people, I'll try my best to remember to ask the question so that everyone can hear me. So feel free to jump in and ask a question if one comes to used to work on the Sea Shepherd with the Sea Shepherd team. So then he's like, you know, I think I value my life a little bit more. So he decided to create his own nonprofit. Bob Barker donated a huge boat for them, and they go out and do lobster, crab trap, derelict fishing gear stuff. They just recently got to untangle a humpback whale with NOAA as a partnership. It's just inspiring for him. So he came out here as a visitor to Hawaii. He saw that there might be a need, and he asked to partner with the local community. Because down there, he did see that it was not quite so perfect in Hawaii. You know, Hawaii is a beautiful place. Our coral reef is fantastic, but we have a lot of shore fishing, and that can be a problem. We have a lot of other type debris here, but our main one that we focus on, you can see new line here, brand new fresh line, just recently tossed in, and really old line. This is one of our dive sites that probably hadn't been cleaned ever. hooks are very common, super big wheel hooks and long coolers and things like that from those sites off of the point. Am I talking loud enough?
Yeah.
Good. I got a big mouth. We have a new partnership with Aquatic Life Divers. They do 4 trips per year, so every 3 months or so we go out on their boat, and they've adopted Hawaiʻi Point / Hawaii Bay. So all around there from Eel Cove or Fishbowl, all the way around Outhouse it's called, and then all the areas around Hawaii to clean up and maintain those. And we have seen a lot of fishing stuff, but not as much as Camp Hawaiʻi Point, so that's good. Clean reefs. This is another Juan photo. Sorry, Juan, you're all in because you volunteer
I'm
for every
sure he's
single
been in
event.
everything.
Yeah. And my friend Leah here doing a cleanup. So super fun. Kailua Pier is another big one. I know it was long before ODA got involved. The Kailua Pier has been cleaned up annually by Jack's Diving Locker. And when I was working at Jack's, I got to start hosting them. And as it kept growing and growing and growing, we needed more hands. So now we're partnering with Body Love as well. We've had Ocean Conservancy there. We have the Canoe Club out there. A bunch of people. And these ones also are really big events. And they require a lot of planning and coordinating. Make sure it's not on a cruise ship day, all that kind of stuff. And we usually have like 40 to 70 volunteers for those ones. We've got one of those coming up too, so you guys can take a picture of our upcoming events. See what it happens. We find all kinds of super cool stuff on this. Shopping carts, working bicycles, usually drones, right? Didn't you try any? No? Never tried a drone. Drones, but mostly lots and lots of bottles, fishing line, hooks, lead, watches, credit cards, room keys, wristbands, all kinds of fun stuff. Now I do want to talk about one special project, and then if I can, remind you guys to come later after this and check out this little poster board. You have to look really close. This is it's a before and after, but we've gone twice. So this is a before called a structured promotion image. Any nerd scientists might know structured promotion is about thousands and thousands of images put together to create this 3D structure. And it's usually for reef development, all kinds of stuff. But my husband, Jeff, he got lost on a scuba dive in Kailua Bay and happened upon this area, which had actually over 100 tires, but 90 plus of these tires are just in this image. You can see stacks of them all around here, huge construction pieces, buried tires all over. The more you look, the more you'll find. And last year, we decided to do a cleanup on Earth Day, partnered with a whole different bunch of companies, and hauled these huge tires up from the bottom. Is that Juan again?
Sean's there.
Jeff's there. Oh, that's Andy. I think that's
Sean.
Yep.
Sean's got white.
Yes, and these tires are massive tires, so the average tire weight is 170 pounds, meaning some of these were close to 300, and some of these little baby tires were like 50. But they required all kinds of lift bags, super experienced divers to come and help and send them up to the surface. It was a massive undertaking. There's about 60 volunteers that day, and all of the divers were down at about 60, 70 feet working super hard. So, yes.
No, part of the problem with disposing is it costs a fortune to dispose of a tire properly.
That's exactly a great point. He said that the reason why all these tires are down there is probably because it costs a ton of money to recycle a tire. Yes, we had to pay those recycling fees. It was almost close to $2,000 for this day's effort. And then again, when we did the rest of it, if the state had some sort of grant or some sort of funding to allow tires to be recycled for free or for low income or something like that, then it would absolutely probably help augment that. Yes.
So it's a whole different topic that people could get involved in, but with, our recycling has gone completely by the wayside since about 2019, but a lot of places take the tires and also broken glass and make glass fault out of them, and that would be a really good use for them on an island to help be sustainable, so that might be a whole different branch that maybe, you know, we all as ODA can get into, is cleaning it up and figuring out how to use it.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of different uses you can put towards tires. They're used for playgrounds, they're used for the asphalt, they're used for all different types of things. If you've already gone through this many processes to refine it into this durable material, why can't we give it a second life? And on the island, yeah, recycling is not a thing. High fives are a thing, and that's about it, you know, if you're lucky. But yeah, tire recycling is shipped out, and it's just not.
So think about it, whoever bought that tire paid a recycling fee for that tire when you bought it. Every time you buy a tire, you pay a recycling fee.
I think for car tires, I'm not sure about tractor tires and other commercial tires. Yeah, they definitely charge you again. I'm for sure on that one.
And a lot of charges, as much as they want to sell them.
Ah, wow. And they charged us per pound for these, so I was scooping out sand that was stuck in there for saving every 30 cents a pound that we were charged for this. But yeah, I think first day we got 4.5 tons. So I think it was over well, you guys do the math, I'm terrible with diversion, but it was 4.5 tons of tires this day. This is my amazing friend Tony and McKenna hauling up big, huge tire. That's one of my favorite photos. And then we worked with or Reef Restoration Center. They gave us permits for the day for me to carefully, with control, chip off the coral pieces, wrap them in their process, and they met us at the dock for all those little coral heads that needed to come off there. And they were able to replant them out again. So it was a really cool full circle experience for me. I've not been involved with coral restoration before, so it was really fun for ODA and for me. Then once they went to the surface, the really hard work began. I know Aaron and Elias volunteered for this one last time. And we had to swim these 200-pound tires on some sinking lift bags over to a huge crane. So we needed lots of swimmers, and we had a disgusting array of these lines and huge tires floating directly above all the divers 60 feet below, as we very carefully and quickly swam them over to Blue Ocean Mariculture's vessel. They offered their vessel for the day. Incredible. Honestly, we couldn't have done this project without them. It involved just an amazing amount of coordinating to get everyone out there and involved, get the divers up. Josh Lambus taking video for us. It was fantastic. And then we put them onto the crane, put them onto the boat, and then that came back to the harbor where they offloaded it from their crane. That was 62 tires on that one. Wait, we don't really need it. So this is the Blue Ocean Mariculture volunteers hauling out all the tires, and then Junk Authority volunteered their truck, because we don't have any types of trucks like that, to take it over to the recycle center so I can pay the big bucks with the credit card to recycle. Any questions on the Tire Valley one? We did two events there, and we got over 90 tires removed from there. There's still a couple in there, but they're wedged in there, so we decided to keep them as part of the reef. Yeah.
I had a question on the growth. Was it new growth of marine life, or was it old growth, or could you gauge it?
Great question. Yeah, she asked if it was new growth or old growth.
Corals,
Of
organisms.
corals and things like that. So there were two concerns for that. So some of the corals, the lobed coral grows fairly quickly, and it was all lobed coral. There wasn't any like varieties. There was a couple rice coral, like little small patches on those tires, but for the most part it was all lobed coral, and the finger coral is the varieties. So those are quick growing. So we assume a couple years or so, but we know some of those tires have been down there for probably 20 years. And almost none of them had coral growth. There was a couple of them that had essentially the coral reef had surrounded the tire-ish, and that's why the corals were kind of slowly growing over them. The other really big thing that I noticed for the first time was when we were down there assessing and doing the structure for motion before our cleanup day, we noticed in the middle of these tires, there would be all of these beautiful trying to take it all back out. But I didn't know that about all the life that gets stuck inside because the edges, they can't crawl out, wind up dying in there. So it was doubly like urgent that we needed to get these tires out because they were little traps for the invertebrates that help keep our reefs clean, things like that. Another really big project we did recently is my least favorite ODA project ever because there's no diving involved. It was a hike and haul event, I called it. I tried to make it sound as horrible as possible because it was. I'm not a hiker. I belong in the water. And this one involved Pololu Valley. So Pololu Valley, beautiful site, inaccessible, fairly 500-foot elevation hike, lots of switchbacks to get down to the beach. Marjorie and Mark, this is Marjorie, she looks very happy right now. And Mark, that's Mark finding the net for the first time. They had some visitors in town and they went down there and they saw this huge net and they're like, ODA has to help. And I'm like, okay. So we had a small little group start this cleanup. That's me, Jeff Jones for Konahonu, Mark and Marjorie. There's like 6 of us to do this little first session, and we saw that this huge monster net just kept growing underneath the berm of the beach on these big boulders. So we had to remove the boulders first to dig into the net, to then cut the net, bag it up into stuff, and then hike it up. It was horrible. So we did, I think it was 5 Pololu Valley hike and haul events. And on the 4th one, we were so excited. We were going to get that net. We were going to be done. I am done with this thing. We've been like months of cleaning up this net. We walked down to the beach and I'm like, we're going to get it. It's going to be like 20 minutes. I'm going to get home, get some beers. It'll be great. Went down there and we're hiking and then right in the valley, in this beautiful river, there's a brand new, huge, wet monster net.
Wow.
At least 2,000-pound net. And wet means that they're at least twice as heavy as the dry nets up on the beach. So I was like, I guess we're coming back. I think it may have been the 3rd cleanup event when we did that, because we definitely needed 2 more wet events. Otherwise, I think we had a lot of volunteers that day, and I split us up. And we used a pulley system, and then we used a chain fall to get the net out of the water for then the next session for us, A, so it wouldn't come back in with the runoff, go back out to the ocean, but B, if it's dry, it's a lot easier to haul up the hill. We got knives, we got all that stuff, and we wound up pulling all of it out. We worked with Protect Pololu, one of the restoration and Native Hawaiian affiliates there, so that we can make sure we're all kosher and all that stuff. They gave us VIP parking, it was fantastic. And every time we did one of these events, I was shocked. We got another 10 more volunteers every time. I just couldn't believe people would do these 3 or 4 hikes up and down the hill carrying wet, smelly, heavy backpacks full of this debris. And this was our last day. I don't even know if you could tell how happy I am. I'm probably hiding and exhausted and disgusting. But this is our last day. This was almost, I think it was something like almost 2,500 pounds of net. That was the wet, smelly net that we got pulled out.
one cleanup for September, one boat one September, because we'll be doing the pier one, but boat September, October, November. So you and I can get together, but tell me again how much it costs to go on, that, how much are people charging right now?
Yeah, so different companies have different prices depending on their overhead. So I think Kohala Divers is $75 donation. It does not include nitrox.
Doesn't include nitrox.
I think Aquatic Life is 65 or maybe 70 now. No nitrox, and then Kohamonu's is still at 60. We max out with 18 divers on the boat, and it usually fills up every month. But I know I haven't spoken at all to anyone about the September 9th and the September 6th ones, so they're both wide open right now. If you guys did want to dive for them, I know there's space on both of those boats for now. But yeah, it would be great to partner with Jackson Can and do more cleanups, especially if you guys have, as a community, know of sites that need cleaning, areas that need cleaning, that kind of stuff. ODA mostly focuses on underwater cleanups because a lot of us in this organization are specialized to do that. There's a lot of other beach cleanup organizations that I try not to, push out of the way or anything like that, of course. But if you guys have, come across a dive site and you're like, there's a lot of fishing line there, Sarah, help, then we can obviously partner with the companies and do that.
I have a question.
Yes.
You showed this waterfall of fish line.
Yeah.
When you extract that, does it damage the coral?
I have a great video for you. Are we already late?
You're fine. We have all the time.
So there is. So that's why we use super experienced. Most of our volunteers that come and do these specialized task force, I gave them a name, the elite force, and they're almost all of them are like professional divers. So when they're yanking, they're really careful where they're going, and super experienced. So they're up off the bottom. They're not breaking anything. There is some damage, but if you're pulling this line and stuff, this is what we call deep step. This is from some of the first images there. When you're pulling up this stuff, if you don't pull it up anyway, when the swell comes in, if one coral head breaks off, it causes this chain reaction of other things pulling and pulling and pulling. So even if we do accidentally break off a small finger coral bit, that's going to cause way more damage to stay in the water as it is. So if we can, I call it flossing. If you can floss around the coral head so you don't affect it, that's what I teach on my boat charters. But sometimes, this spot is just north of Two-Step. It's obviously a popular fishing spot. I've been there before and been told not to enter the water because there's people fishing currently there. But one of them, in one case when I went down there was at least 12 lines in the water from this same point. And when you're down there, you're just like, where do you even start? Because you pull on one and you get 30 other directions. And how do you start? And I thought of just cutting like the bottom, like a haircut, and like rolling it up like a mat. That didn't work either because they're all stuck under. This is like a 3-minute video or something. So it just shows us. Oh, there's Juan again. Shows us all
Thank you, Juan.
working super hard. There's Elias in the back. And it was cute that I even brought these little bags. We filled them under like 20 seconds. And luckily, shocked, he's like, I'll bring some big bags. I was like, oh, those things are too bulky. We poured all the little bags into the big bag in these huge bundles.
Yeah.
And we had a photographer come out and film and document this. And that was really, really important, I think, for some publicity. There's our technical diver, Jacques. Not on a rebreather, odd. And it's everywhere. It's just, yeah.
Is there any way to stop that through education or,
How are you gonna tell people not to eat?
I know, but why are they dumping all those lines there?
They
it's-
don't want to leave those lines, right? They have to pay for those lines. They have to pay for those hooks. They have to pay for the lead. They have to pay for all of that. They don't want to leave it behind. The big thing that I'm finding is this slide fishing. I may or may not be too too accurate on this, but they use these 4-prong weights. You guys may have seen these. They're meant to be left behind. So these 4-prong weights get tossed in super far up. They're heavy, and they grab the reef. They're designed to actually hold on, and they have a tiny, thin test line. So a super small line here, and then they have really thick line, and these ulua hooks and metal here. So they have these things that slide up and down these lines with super thick test line. And when they catch a fish, this gets left behind on purpose. This breaks off, and they can take the whole slide line with them, with all the hooks. Ideally, you know, that's what happens, and they only leave this behind, which is still essentially littering in the ocean. So if there's a way to find people for littering in the ocean, huh? It's actually copper wire too. I'm like, why would they use copper for this? But yeah, it's 10-ounce lead weight copper line. And yeah, we find these type leads all the time. Big hooks and heavy test line. And so yeah, this is us filling up the big bags at the end and coming up. And you know, the first time we went there, I was like, oh, why am I even doing this? Because it doesn't matter. I think we pulled up over 12,000 feet estimated of line. I'm estimating as best of my abilities, but it was a lot of line we pulled up there, and it didn't feel like we even did 2% of what was down there. Yes. It is on YouTube. It hasn't gone viral yet, though. We have a terrible marketing department.
You need a teenager.
Are you a great marketer? I need a marketing person.
But send it out to everybody on the email.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna send it out to their friends.
Yeah.
And the YouTube site,
Yeah.
because we all know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And what I want to know is, do you have a thing out there that tells you what you're doing? Like you're there, do you have anything on there that tells you what you're doing and ask for donations?
So ODA's website has this video on there. It's gonna just automatically go to the next one. We have like a bunch of this. Here's our Ocean Defenders Alliance like webpage. We've got all that stuff and links to our thingy so you can donate. I don't know, we've got 240 subscribers. We definitely have not many volunteers in Kona. So we're very small. And we yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So we definitely do have a little YouTube, and Kurt's got a bunch of narrated stuff, and he made the news recently here in Kona. He was interviewed with one of the news agencies. There you go, Big Island News, I think, or something like that. And so anyway, you guys are feel free to browse the YouTube channel and share it. That would be great. And
What's the link?
what the YouTube?
YouTube channel.
I don't know. I think you just search for Ocean Defenders Alliance. Right? I'll email it to you. Yeah, just Ocean Defenders Alliance. That's also on our ODA website. Great questions. Thank you. We need a marketing person if anyone wants to volunteer their time. Any other questions? Yeah.
With marketing, and I'm happy to help.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we definitely need one of those.
Need fundraisers.
Anyone else? You guys okay? Questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, updates? Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good. Yeah, and again, I want you guys to check out the structure promotion image, the before and after here. This was after our first attempt. We went back and got the rest of these tires in the second image, but you have to look real close and see this is the exact same